Today, students, we are going to be studying 1-2, divide whole numbers and decimals. For some of you, this notes will be on August 18th, and for others, it will begin on August 19th. Let's start by showing how to divide whole numbers. All right? In this case, when we divide, we're going to end up with a remainder. So let's just take a look. Let's write down 18 into 863. So when we start division, we have to look at this whole thing here. 18. That's 2 digits. So obviously 18 is not going to go into one digit of 8. So we have to find out how many times 18 will go into 86. Now, sometimes you do an estimate, like 18 is close to 20. So how many 20s can go into 80 to 86? And I'm going to start then with 4 and see if that works. Because I'm going into the second digit, I'm going to line 4 up here. And then let's start checking our work. 8 times 4 is 32. I'm going to bring the 2 here, and I'm just going to carry the 3. And then we go to the next part, right? So 8 times 4 is 32, carry the 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 6 minus 4 is 2, did I just say that? 6 minus 2 is 4, and 8 minus 7 is 1. Now look, I have 14 left so far, and that's less than 18, so this was the correct fit. I'm going to bring down my 3 right here, okay? And then let's see how many 18s rounded up to 20 would go into 143. Well, 18 is close to 20 and 2 goes into 14 7 times. Let's try that and see if it works. So I'm going to put a 7 above this 3 here. And let's multiply. 8 times 7, that's 56. But I bring the 6 here and I carry the 5. Alright, and then 7 times 1 is 7, plus 5 is 12. Okay, so that is a smaller number than 143. Let's subtract. And 3 can't subtract 6. I got to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from here and leave that with 3 and make this 13. And 13 minus 6 is 7. Okay? And 3 minus 2 is 1. And 1 is minus 1, well, that's 0. So I have something left over that's smaller than 18. And I have no numbers left up here. We're done. So that means 47, remainder of 17. Okay? Now let's look into dividing decimals, all right? The one way you might look at dividing decimals, and you might see it, and it may look something like this. You might say, I have $809.40 divide 12. Okay? Let's make a problem from that. The number that it's divided by is actually what goes on the outside. So let's make it 12 on the outside, and then on the inside, let's make this 809 and 40 hundredths. Anytime you see a decimal, you can say the word and. Alright? So just right away, I'm just going to show you something. There's no decimals out here. We're just looking at decimals inside. I'm going to go ahead and move my decimal up, alright? Now 12 will go into 80. Alright, well, the closest thing to that would probably be 6 because 12 times 6 is 72. So I'm going to put a 6 here directly above the 0 and multiply 12 times 6, which is 72. Okay? I'm going to borrow to subtract. So I'm going to subtract from by borrowing from the 8, make that 7 and make this 10. And 10 minus 2 is 8. Okay? Let me make that as big as I can. I'm going to bring down the 9 next. Right here. Now 12 into 89. Well, the closest thing to that would be 7 times 12, because 7 times 12 is 84. Okay? So we subtract here. 9 minus 4 is 5. And there's nothing left over there. Let's slide this on up for you. So I'm going to bring down my next digit, which would be, let's see here, 4. And 12 goes into 54 4 times, because 12 times 4 is 48. We're going to have a remainder here too. And I'm still working, so don't mean remainder total, just from this answer. 14, because I got to borrow, minus 8 gives me 6, and 4 minus 4 is 0. One less thing to bring down so far, and that's a 0 to here. And well, the beauty of it is 12 will go into 60 5 times. And I bring down 12 times 5 is 60. And we're done. Now, truth be told, if I had a remainder still, I could continue putting a 0 here and continue the process to see if I either finally get a solution or I have something that starts repeating itself. Now let's look at another problem which might be similar to that one, but this time we're going to have decimals also on the outside. Let's go with 0.5 into 220. Okay, 0.5 into 220. Now, if you notice, there's one decimal here. I don't see any here. But because there's a decimal on the outside here, I have to move it. And if I move it far enough to get rid of it, I had to move it one place in this case. If there had been more, I'd move it more. So there's 1, which means I'm going to put a decimal at the end of my whole number here. And I'm going to move the decimal over 1 inside. And there we go. Now I can bring that decimal up. Okay? So let's look. 5 goes into 2. No, but 5 goes into 22 4 times. And 5 times 4 is 20. We subtract. I'm left with 2. And I'll bring down the 0. Well, 5 goes into 20. We already determined that. 4 times. And 5 times 4 is 20. But look, now I'm bringing down a 0 because I still have to work this out because there's a decimal here and I need to put something in this space. And 5 goes into 0, well, 0 times. And 5 times 0 is 0. And I'm done. If I hadn't been, I could have continued by putting more zeros here.